Peace, everyone. Peace for greetings, respective greetings to everyone. I am Joy Allen of Karmic Dynasty, and today I have with me the author of the God Genes Decoded, R.A. Waldron. His screen name is Baba New. And I'm gonna share with y'all. I call him Siba Babanu. He is a teacher to me. He is a teacher of mine. I don't recall asking him if he'd be a teacher. He's a teacher of mine. So I call him Siba Babanu. Siba means teacher. Siba means student. Sibat is the feminine word for student and or teacher. So I have Siba Babanu here with me today, and I can't wait for you all to see him again. The demand, the request for him was real after he was here the first time in the introduction. That was the introduction. He was fierce. He was bringing it, and you all spoke, and I listened, and he was glad to hear the feedback. So he is here again on tonight's broadcast. It will just be him and myself. So we are here. He will be speaking more on the volumes 1 through 3 of the book that he wrote, The God Genes Decoded. So we will be speaking with him real soon. And let's see. So I want to share with you all, just in case you missed it, you need to know. Let's talk about a little bit. All right. So I have my continuation of my lecture tour. These are my event dates. I have Detroit, Michigan, October 16th. Now, from this community event dates flyer, it appears that Detroit is the last event. Not the case, because I've added to my lecture tour Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis, Indiana. All right. So in Detroit, I will be there for Matriarchal Magic, October 16th. That is a Saturday. All of my events, I would like to keep them on a Saturday. So being consistent is in my rule book, and I do best to follow the rules. 4 p.m. in Detroit, Matriarchal Magic. You want some info, contact me. We are bringing our aspects, our gifts of magic, and our interpretations of magic to the table. So when you show up, nobody's going to be able to tell you what's magic, what's not magic, what's none of that. And also bring it. We're excited to receive your interpretation. We are excited. Those who I've talked to that are going to be there, we can't wait to see what everybody's bringing to the circle. Karmic Dynasty, if you missed the memo, is a fiat-free platform. So there are no ticket sales. There are no vendors' tables. So with that being said, I expect to see so many people in Indianapolis, Indiana, Saturday, December 25th, for the Matrix watch party. We watching the movie. We got a pre-event. We got the after party, etc., etc. Join us there. I appreciate you all. Peace, love, and light. Siba Baba Nu is in the backstage. He is, he's lit up over. I need y'all to see that smile he got. Let's look at him. Peace, Siba Baba Nu. How are you?
Peace. I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Gratitude. It's an honor to have you here. I'm excited to see you again in Karmic Dynasty. Welcome.
Thank you.
Share with us all who you are. Some of us are familiar. Share a little more. That'd be great. Tell us how we can contact you. And we have people that have talked about getting a copy of your books. So let's talk to them about that too. How can they reach you to get a copy of the books? Gratitude.
Gratitude. So, my email address is EgyptianVoodooPriest@gmail.com. That's EgyptianVoodooPriest@gmail.com. And my cell phone number is 347. Oh, it just disappeared. The thing when it comes back. But you can reach me via my email address. And Okay, here it is scrolling again. Want to give everybody this number if they want to contact me. My cell phone number is 347-274-9647. So for all the people who are interested in the book, when you contact me, make sure that you state that you're from the Joy Allen's show, so that I'll know how you found out about the book and stuff like that. Um, and of course, you could also contact me for other priestly services. So yes, my name is Nuheri Mensa Ogun, and the title that I'm fine and comfortable with is Baba. So it was shortened to Baba Nu, and that is fine. I do prefer Baba Nuheri, but people shorten it down. Um, I'm a high priest. Uh, I'm a bloodline priest. I went through two initiations. The Haitian Voodoo initiation, and before I went through it, my Shepsu, my ancestors came to me and let me know that the Haitian Voodoo system had come out of Egypt, and they really showed that to me via the initiation process that they have. So that initiation process, I co-sign. The other stuff, I don't know about. Um, so I went through the initiatory rites, and ancestors and whatnot were involved. It was great. So you know, I'm officially a high priest, and I did it specifically because I didn't think that it was a good idea to publish a book on such deep and advanced religious and spiritual and scientific information. I knew that it is something that come under the priesthood and the religious umbrella. I also got initiated to Ifa because I saw that Ifa was a part of Kemet, and that I wanted that to be with me, and it was very very interesting because the relationship between Ifa and the Tree of Life. I saw that before I went to get initiated, and I had spoken to the man that took me there and told him, what I saw and stuff, and told him what it means to get initiated to Ifa. And he was surprised that I knew that. Um, you know, it's been a long, long journey. A lot of people don't know that. I started this journey, like official started this journey at age 18, and I am now 30. Sorry, part of it. Now I am now 46 years old. So it's been 30 something years that I've been on this journey of really what it was to figure out and get to the bottom of African spiritual culture. To use a name and title of, what I was really trying to do was figure out and get to the bottom of African spiritual culture, because it wasn't something that I was raised in, but it was something that I came to understand that I should be a part of. It really hit me full face that this is something that was part of my ancestral legacy and heritage. And I had dreams about that, thankfully. I had communication about that, thankfully. So it wasn't just something that was in my head, but it really became a burning desire. And, you know, you do have to read. We are in the information age, we are in the internet age, and people watch a lot of videos and stuff like that, and there's a lot of information out there. But it's not only that you do have to read, you have to know what books to read. And I I see that in people's lives. Like I can recall I was working as a tech support specialist. This was back in 2017, and a brother came to me for help. You know, he was like an older, maybe about 10 years older. And I looked at him and I said, "You've read the I Ching, haven't you?" I could tell that he read the I Ching a lot because of how it had changed his persona. I could see the I Ching on him. So you have to read specific books so that you can get a higher evolutionary state, a higher mental and intellectual evolutionary state. And that is something that the God Genes Decoded was is successful at. You know, wanted to get and understand. I mean, I wrote the book for two main reasons. One of the main reasons why I wrote the book is because I needed to heal my mind. The 10-year prior experience that I had been through, the way that it ended with me realizing that I needed to investigate every single thing that I was taught and make no bones about it. I went over every single thing that I was taught, and what didn't make sense was thrown out. And that became a process in me writing the book. Was that the first thing I saw was that I was regurgitating junk. I was regurgitating the junk that I had learned, and now I was able to read it and see even more so how much junk it was. But then in meditation, introspection, contemplation, and assistance from particular deities and ancestors, I was able to get to a higher plane of reasoning. One of the main things that I was assisted with, it was in getting to a higher plane of reasoning and thought analysis, word usage, you know, so that I could better make sense of this vast, deep, and very, very powerful ancient Egyptian knowledge. Ancient Egyptian knowledge will always be revered. It's been revered since antiquity is still being revered. And it was revered for very, very specific reasons. And I knew, you know, at the beginning of writing the book, in the early stages, I knew that I didn't know and I didn't understand how powerful the knowledge was, but still seeing its power in the text when you read over the scriptures and having a respect for the culture, there is there is a reverence there, but there's still a, you know, what are they saying? You know, they must be saying something great, and I had to get to the point of knowing and having an understanding, and that was such a process, you know, in this movement, because you know I got involved in a movement. You know, it was called the Afrocentric movement. It was also called the Afro Kemetic movement, and it was called, you know, a Pan Africanist movement. So, you know, in this movement, after years in the movement, I realized that a lot of people didn't have a grasp on this knowledge, and you know, you had a lot of people veering towards Kemet, you know, veering towards Egypt. You know, then you had people also veering towards the Yorubas and towards the Akan, so that, you know, people were looking to reconnect with this, with their ancestral wisdom, but being raised in the West, being acculturated in the West, there was uh there was a blockage. There was a major blockage, and I saw that there was a major blockage, and I saw that there was a lack of critical understanding, even so much in the fact that, when you look at Kemet through the books of authors like Gerald A. Massey, the information is so vast. And that's one of the reasons why people couldn't really get a grasp on it, because they were grasping such a huge amount of information at a time. And I was lucky to find a place to start. And it it made sense because it makes sense in African culture. And that place to start is with the cosmological doctrines. You know, having the cosmological doctrines now gives you like a blueprint for a superstructure that the culture is built upon, that the life of the people is built upon that cosmology. And the cosmology at Anu, explaining and understanding that Ra is consciousness, experience. So it is specific and general in the sense it is general, as in these are the type of things you're going to go through on your path to greatness. It is specific to a specific deity or to specific deities that underwent it and were triumphant. So, there was a very, very easy way for me to, you could say, water down a lot of powerful information. And that actually came up towards me finishing the book, where someone said to me, you know, there is like, they were saying it's too deep. Why don't you water it down for the public? And this was about getting a publishing contract and publishing deal and those types of things. And I did a reading, and the reading said, if you do that, you have to look at the results. So the reading was saying, if you water it down, you get watered down results. And I look back at that reading now, and I look back at my life and the things that has happened around the book, and the reading was accurate, because in not watering it down, the impact has been earth shattering. We are on this journey on this planet, and a lot of us get caught up in such a low and limited human perspective. And I saw that in the Camus culture, in the Camus knowledge, there was a very, very important place of transcendence of human existence, a transcendence of tribe, a transcendence of what we are now calling race. It was very, very critical. And I saw that because the Neteru, they are different species of beings. So if you're stuck on your limited ideas of superiority, where human beings are stuck on it, you can't ascend, and you can't be part of their grouping, because they're not limited, like how we are in terms of race, and you're dealing with different beings, which is beyond race. And so now the evolution of consciousness went from something about evolving out of a state of chaos, and what are the obstacles to this? And the ancient Egyptian cosmology at Anu, it says these things, but it didn't flesh it out in explanation. So I had to, with contemplation and meditation, I had to put it in a language that we can understand, but I had to flesh it out and I had to understand it. So you have this great battle for a better life, which is what the cosmology at Anu is really saying. Ra is really battling for a better life. And the first thing that he has to defeat is something within him. And it's important to note that you have the deity or the Neter Ra, and then you have the Neter Ra'at, which meant that the Camus understood that, you know, this whole battle for making life better is something that both genders go through. So looking at their basics, at their primordial deities, there was always this pairing of male, female, male, female, male, female, because we have a lot of shared, similar, almost exact experiences in life. And we have a lot of similar goals and things to achieve in life. And it gave me an appreciation for a culture that had a perspective that was not oppressive to women, that didn't eliminate women in the picture, but looking at the seed more so even than the gender is something that the Camus were, very, very, very skilled at. And it gave them a much higher advanced perspective on life, and it allowed them to build a great and glorious culture. And this great and glorious culture is something that I've been shown is something that the planet, that the world, the planet that we live on have to follow. The principles of Ma'at and how important that is, and how important that was in achieving the creation of the universe, and then how important that was in maintaining order. So a lot of knowledge got distilled and exposed and correlated, and it brought me to a point of, you know this is my religion, no matter what happens. This is my blueprint, this is my way of life. This is, you know especially the major Neteru, you know, they are the ones that I do my best to stay close to, that I do my best to, pray to, ask for help,
Who are
and
the
then
major Neteru's you're speaking of?
Tehuti, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
Ptah, for instance, and both Tahuti and Ptah play roles as creators. The goddess Sekhmet, um, Herakuti, I see him a lot. Sekert, I see him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Tahuti, I see him a lot. You know, uh, Ptah, I see him a lot, and it becoming a practical way of life that is on par, or and synthesized with indigenous traditional African systems. And it's not to say that they are perfect, because a lot has been lost. And the thing with the Camus system and what they had, and showing what they had, how they had the I Ching, which is now associated with China. They had Ifa, which is now associated with the Yorubas. To show that there was a there were events that brought the splitting up of this knowledge amongst different people. They had the Kabbalistic tree of life, but that's associated with mystical Judaism, esoteric Judaism, to, show these things and to be able to demonstrate that we have to, push the envelope on getting, clearer knowledge for application of the culture.
Definitely very good. I took a lot of notes in that section. I appreciate you. Um, Now, you told everyone how to get a copy of your book. Earlier the ticker went away because I had a I in Egyptian instead of the Y, so I needed to correct that.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, you mean for my email address?
email address, yes. I had to correct that.
Yeah.
Now, I know you will be speaking with us today about also some of the products that you will have that will be able to assist us in this life.
Yeah.
And I am familiar with, I want to say, a good deal of your products and or techniques. And today I saw a post of yours. I'm not sure when you posted it, but I shared it and it's gotten some feedback. And I've sent
Okay.
people your information so they can speak to you directly about it because for some reason I wasn't, when I went to type your name in Facebook, you wouldn't pop up. So I had to send you their information individually.
Okay.
This is the piece in that I was talking that I'm speaking of. Could you tell us more about this? Do you have this to sell? People want it.
Wow.
I hear you pausing. What's the pause for?
Um, yes, people can contact me for sale. That is something. It's an amulet and a prayer bead, and is supposed to be. It can be two pieces or one piece, but it has 144 different skulls, and the reason why is it's supposed to be 72 each, and you know, being being raised outside of African traditional culture, of the culture of the voodoo culture, and then
Mm-hmm.
coming into it and having to literally, learn it and then practice it on my own, and not being able to resort to the people that brought me in for help, meaning that they didn't have the power. So the reason why I sighed at the beginning is
Mm-hmm.
because that is a very, very powerful piece. And it is, I made that because, I was working with someone else, and we did some oracle cards, 72 different angels. But you need the angels themselves. So I did that to have 72 of a specific army of angels and 72 of another specific specific army of angels. It's a very, very powerful piece, and it will not be cheaply priced. I consecrate these pieces. So what you will be getting in a piece like that is 72 different deities. And I kid you not, very few priests, if any,
Mm-hmm.
have that amount of deities that they use. So
Wow.
this is a piece that a person can use to even offer different to even offer spiritual services for other people. But this was my next step in the amulets that I make, that I offer. And I would advise you don't need the oracle deck, but I made it because me and someone else put out the Oracle deck, and I was you just like waiting for over a year. I've been waiting because for me it's not fair just to give them that, so that when they get a reading of a particular angel, you know they don't have the power of that angel to help with the situation. So, yes, people can contact me uh, for to speak to me about that, and we will work something out. It's a very, very powerful piece.
It is. I received like immediate feedback on Facebook when I made that post. Immediate.
Yeah,
The last
and
hmm,
I I made sure that this one is hard to break, hard to pop. It is very secure. So it is something that you can have you can have for a lifetime. Treat it with care. You can have it for a lifetime. It's a very, very powerful piece, and it means a lot to me. I felt like when I made it, I was like, finally, because and I just want to be clear, this is how real it is. The NYPD has stolen some of my amulets because they are so powerful.
wow.
This is not hype. I'm not saying this for any hype reasons.
Right.
It's just having to actually sit down and being like, wow, man, wow, they had took, but they had years ago they had asked me for something, but now it's gotten to the point where they are stealing my amulets. So I made that one because I had a belt with a whole, you know, bunch of skulls, and I had prepared it in such a way that it was obvious that the energy had like manifested in it. It was such a beautiful piece. I had put it through a lot because I see magic happening when I make my amulets, when I consecrate them, and I consecrate them over a period of time. I have left them in situations where someone would say, "Oh my goodness, it's going to be totally destroyed." And when you take it out, you see how everything is arranged on it in patterns. You actually see what the deity has done with it. So I was like, man, you know, I'm gonna have to go buy a whole lot more pieces because I love this amulet so much.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. On your first appearance on Karmic Dynasty, and the link, if you missed the video, the link is in the description to Baba Nu's first appearance here on this platform. In that broadcast, you mentioned several times a Kepler bracelet. And in
Yes,
Google search, I shared some images. Now, I have here from your Facebook page, I'm good for going on people's business. On your Facebook page,
okay,
I see this image. This a Kepler bracelet in the center. Is that correct?
yes, yes.
Okay.
That's a Kepler
Did you make
bracelet.
this bracelet and or do you sell? Can people buy this bracelet, purchase it from you?
People can purchase it from me. I have
Mhm.
a jeweler make it. This is a very,
Mm,
very, this piece is so powerful. Every time, twice, I had the jeweler look at it and he said, this is very, very powerful. He can feel the energy in it. But that's
mhm.
an actual teleportation bracelet. And I'm being very, very
Wow.
serious now. That bracelet allows you to teleport. If you don't know what teleportation is, teleportation is uh you're able to move from one point to the next very, very quickly. So there might be times where you don't even realize, and you just end up, sometimes not too far away from where you were going, but you end up, someplace else. If you're just going in a straight line, straight path, and you are conscious, then you will be able to tell that you are teleporting. And what this bracelet helped me to understand is that the ancient Egyptians had teleportation, teleportation abilities. Other African groups, other African practitioners, they also have it. I spoke with a guy that was from Ghana, and he was speaking about it and the fact that you have to have a bracelet, or like armband that you put on your hand. It usually goes on the hand, but um that bracelet, it was sculpted from a person named Sener Samaj, Baba Heru. He had seen it, and he drew it, and then he sculpted it, and made it, but he didn't know it was a teleportation bracelet. And the ancestors led me to that bracelet, and when I bought it and consecrated it, then over the course of time, I just got smack dab like, you're teleporting. um, those are the skulls from the other piece that the police stole. And I know that they stole it. I know that they stole it. It's
This
absolutely
piece is beautiful,
ridiculous.
beautiful.
Yes, yes. And then I had enhanced it by like this piece, I had enhanced it by adding different semi-precious stones to it. It was really, 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 really beautiful. And I was going to put a scorpion on the end for the
Mm,
goddess Serket. So, you know, with the teleportation bracelet, I was given the ability to, make them and to make it work because of the trials and tribulations that I had been through. This
mhm,
was in 2018. You know, my ancestor and a particular deity came to me and let me know. They were trying to let me know, but it wasn't only after it worked several times that I realized, oh my goodness, and then I saw that in the clause it has the globe of the planet. I think that the continent that you can see there is South America. So, you know, that teleportation bracelet. You can call me and we can discuss price. I'm not going to say price on the internet, on the show. A teleportation bracelet helps you to get around better. I find that if I'm a bit stressed out from having to do too much walking around, it it kicks in, and I'm able to get around from place to place much, much easier. But then there's also the full teleportation. So, it's like things have come to a point where we really have to show and prove our culture and start using it and applying it. These amulets provide you with heavy duty protection. Heavy duty protection. That's one of the major reasons for amulets is to provide you with heavy duty protection. But then I started doing the whole set. So for a necklace, you can have the whole set, or for a waist bead, you can have the whole set. Meaning that in studying the tree of life and studying ancient Egypt, I saw that specifically on the left side of the tree of life, you have full armies. The third sphere coming down, and the air sphere. You have a whole lot of armies, and what you can do, because they govern such a wide range of things in your life, you can help to address a lot of different things, a lot of different areas of life. And then, you know, if you are a person that does spiritual work for other people, you will be able to use it, especially if you have the oracle that comes with it. You will know which angel, but you will also have it to actually use, to actually use as a prayer bead. Of course, you should feed it. Wearing it feeds it. You can put it on food, and that, feeds it. Um, very, very, very well. And if you want to take it to the other level, you can do offerings to it, meaning you can go do a sacrifice to it and get a whole lot of power. So I've had testimonials from, people whose life was just, you know uh in need of help, and they went and did the sacrifices because I had sold them a full amulet set, and boom, major, major change.
Wow, sounds exciting. Sounds exciting. I know from now you have consultations and
Yes,
you
I do.
have those services. So had a consultation with you, and one thing I'm going to be working on is what we came together and concluded is a spiritual shower, not a spiritual bath. We
Right.
talked about that. Yeah. So share with everyone like part of the process of the spiritual shower that I am working towards completing. If
Well, many years ago, the goddess Kali, she said to me, she said, we human beings, we filter the earth. Now that's just our function, just by breathing, just by living. We filter the earth, and we filter the earth of the negativity. So she was straight implying you have to take spiritual baths. Not taking spiritual baths, it can be added to one of the collaborators in, human social breakdown. You look at the Western world and its culture, and I use it as my primary example, and you see that the culture is not a high spiritually advanced one. But if people were taking spiritual baths, it would be totally different. Totally different, because you need to cleanse negativity that gets stuck in your aura. We have a magnetic field, so we pull things towards us, and that negativity, it might be affecting us greatly, but is very, very light in our aura, so it gets trapped there. So when you take a spiritual bath, you are washing and cleansing that away. Also, when you take a spiritual bath, it also pulls negativity out through your skin. So, excuse me, spiritual bath is mandatory as a tune up. Once a month, at least once a month, you should get a spiritual bath. Around the full moons or the new moon is a great time. Full moons is one of the best times to take a spiritual bath, because that's the time when a lot of people are emoting, because that's what the moon makes us do. But a lot of people, if they're not right, they will be emoting negatively. And if they're people that you know, or that you might have had an issue with, they are sending that out to you, and you want to get that, cleaned off, as well as just living on the planet. You are filtering the ear. And that's why spiritual baths are so important. And, sometimes, like the first time a person takes a spiritual bath is always like a great wow. You just didn't know that stuff was on you because you've been living with it
Yes,
for a
that was
while.
my reaction to my first ever spiritual bath. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was mine too. My reaction was, man, why didn't somebody teach me how to use this years ago? You know?
Yes. So I appreciate Siba Ramutef Queb for enlightening me and sharing with me about spiritual baths and the how to on getting me started. And I didn't listen clearly. So the first few times there was some hiccups, but I got it together. And then I felt all some stuff right after. I was like on a cloud. And
Yeah.
I've not been um how you say what some people would say high before,
Mhm.
but I how I felt after that bath, it was how I may imagine how people when they get high would feel. I just felt like I was
Liberated.
lifted off the ground when I was sitting
Yeah.
down. I was clearly sitting down, but I felt like I was lifted,
Right.
and there was this like space around me that was clear, and I felt untouchable and I felt protected. It was beautiful. It's beautiful. And I actually look forward to my next one. So I suggest people who have not tried it, I need them to do it. It is like a must. We have a question. Ashanit from Facebook. She says, "Excuse me, Baba Nu. How do you find out who comes with the family tree? I have a round quartz crystal wrapped with a copper family tree."
How you find out who comes with your family tree? Well, you have to get ancestrally connected. You have to get ancestrally connected. If you're not ancestrally connected, like if your ancestors aren't there in your life, then, you know, if you can't get that open, then someone like myself will, you know, uh, because it's the ancestors that are going to let you know who is in the tree, who is important, and those type of things. That type of information is something that your ancestors has to come and you know, let you know. You might try setting up an ancestral altar. And if you don't know how to set up an ancestral altar, something that I can give you advice on. You know, you need some type of contact. I know that is very critical for some people who don't have contact. Getting to that contact usually requires learning how to meditate, you know else you have to go through like a rite of passage, sort of an initiation to, open you up. So if you're not open up to getting that, contact, someone like myself can help. Or you can start getting into meditation, learning how to meditate, and then you have to learn how to chant specific mantras. Is absolutely necessary. It's a scientific thing in when you are chanting mantras that you get communication. You
Could
get
you give us an
communication.
example of one of those mantras?
Let me see. A good mantra that I chant. Um, I'm trying to keep certain mantras secret. I'll give you, just as a gift, I'll give you guys an angelic mantra chant. Sita Hilwa Yahweh Sitae Yahweh Sitae Sita Hilwa Yahweh Sitae Yahweh Sitae. And what you want to do is that you want to just repeat it over and over in your head. You can repeat it out loud and let it vibrate through you, but you want to repeat it in your head. And when you are repeating it in your head in a melodic way, it allows the ancestors and the deities to have a conversation with you. I don't have the scientific explanation and the breakdown in why and how the brain works, and because it is about how our brain works, and it is about our ability to multitask but internally, and it's also about concentration. So when you are concentrating on just repeating those particular syllables melodically, the deities and the ancestors find it much easier to communicate with you. And it is in those times that you will hear messages, so you can um pray for what you want, pray for the insight that you want, pray for what you want to know. And then you have to go into a meditative state with mantras, with sounds in a melodic way. You have to sing them, and that's how you can start getting contact. Some people, they're just like that. They are open, whether it's from their astrological chart or whether it's because their, mom was doing something or their dad was doing something and they pass it down, or it's a past life thing. They are just open. But for people who are not, that is one of the ways. Another thing is because I've had a lot of feedback from people that have gotten, amulets and shrines from me, is to get an amulet set or to get shrine, and they will bring the contact in. They will help you with your dreams. The deity in the shrine will, come to you in your dreams and share things with you. It's things that you need to know. And then, like what this person's asking is for things that they want to know.
Yes, yes, yes. Very thorough. I appreciate it. When you shared that, I was surprised. I've heard my share of mantras. That one was different. I enjoyed that one. I felt it. I did. I also know when I've learned about them. Now, for those who do not know, you missed the introduction when Baba Nu was on here first. Again, the description, the link is in the description. Kepler Ptah referred Baba Nu to Karmic Dynasty, and I appreciate him for the referral. It's been an honor. It's been an experience knowing Baba Nu and meeting with him after Kepler spoke so highly of him. And I know they will next week actually be here together on Karmic Dynasty. And I'm looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that. I know it's best, though, that we all know Baba Nu before we bring him in and put him on the panel with Kepra together. I think it's important that we know more about Baba Nu before that. Now, one thing that Kepra had talked to me about was when we like the I learned the ram sham ham, and he was telling me, no, don't just say ram sham ham 108 times, ram sham ham, ram sham ham. You have to say it and feel it. And I'm still learning, working with it. So you and Kepra right now are my teachers. You are best with that as far as I know. But so when Kepra's here again and we go through that, I am going to be here and y'all gonna hear me with the REM. No REM. Well, that ain't how you do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, y'all, don't do that. Get your pens and paper out. Keep a note. Take a note. Now, Baba News spoke about the not about the scientific analysis and all some things. I know what Baba News does have the scientific analysis of, and also some chemistry documented of is in the book, The God Genes Decoded, that he authored. Now, let's talk some more about your book, volumes 1 through 3, and some of the scientific analysis and chemistry that is within that book.
Wow.
Gratitude.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I want to start with first is the psychology. Is the psychology of the the book of knowing the evolutions of Ra and of overthrowing OPEP. Yes, it becomes biological in terms of what is being psychologically fed. But you have a situation where you have to face your fears. You have to face your ignorance. So Ra has three major enemies. Fear. That masks as procrastination. Then there is ignorance, a lack of knowing, and that also feeds into our fears. But then there's also confusion. So these three major blockages to us achieving greatness, and get into the science and the chemistry, as we are now advanced biological beings. Is about knowing what things can help you to overcome those things. There is boosting certain uh chemicals that the body produces, like endorphins and opiates, and dopamine, so that we can overcome fear. So it's not, like I say, it's not just to have a great a great book to read, and great cultural information, but then to have, the practical, you know, application. So when I was going over the creation of the universe from the Kabuka perspective and language and words and terminologies and stuff like that, I was able to extrapolate the scientific foundation and correlation of it. And when it gets up to the creation of DNA, the creation of the DNA ladder, and you look at what DNA, does in our body, as having the codes for the creation of specific things, and it's a very, our DNA is very, very, very vast. It is very, very diverse in how it can affect us. And you have to, I'm imploring you, you have to get to a point where you are working with it on a psychoactive level, through diet, and through um sound vibration, which is what the mantra is for, and then through movement, and the use of sound vibration, that's, and certain nutritional things. That's how you get the DNA jumps. That's how you start to transcend and start to evolve. And that is one of the indirect great mysteries that the Camus are revealing through the book of knowing the evolutions of Ra and of overthrowing Opep. Um, when they're talking about uh, evolution, and it says, I came into being because of Hekau, because of sound, but Hekau is really music, you know, how music and sound vibration helps us to change and helps us to evolve. And then you should start to see why you have to be careful with the music that you are listening to if you're not consciously listening to it to create a certain effect, psychologically. And what underpins the psychology is the biology, meaning that you feel a certain way because your body is producing certain hormones, certain opiates, and these types of things. And then, this is how you continue to evolve.
Thank you for sharing that. I know also with talking about the book today, you wanted to talk more, you wanted to actually talk with us this time about some images that I shared last time.
Yes, let's look at a couple of images.
All right.
Right here, what I wanted to talk about is Camus imagery in and of itself. Um, One of the things that happens when you look at the Camus artwork is that you feel stronger and you can test it. And one of the reasons is because of its proportionality and its simplicity, and then in this particular picture, what this particular Neteru is holding is called a wasp. And, I've been able to, activate it and use it just by drawing that symbol. I've been able, like, it comes alive. So Camus symbolism and Camus artwork, it has power in it that if you are in practice with the culture, you'll know, well, that's not just a picture. It's not just a picture. It is something that can actually help you with your health just by having that image around, just by having that image visible, just by even having it on, it might be a piece of clothing or whatnot. It will help you with your health. It will actually help you to be healthier. And these are things that I did not know, which is why I say it's such a vast body of knowledge. You know, you might not have it in a set of pictures that I sent you, but then is also the Ankh. The Ankh also is another diadem, another symbol that comes alive. And there it is. This is the Ankh, the Wasp, and the Jet. And I like these are my true confessions as a person who's been learning, and who's been studying and practicing and applying over the years. Drawing these symbols or having someone that has certain abilities draw these symbols for you and you have them, they come alive and they help you with what they represent. So the Ankh itself, it protects your life. It protects your life. Is I mean, I I want a deeper understanding of why this stuff works because I've been seeing it work. The WAS, it it inspires you to eat better and to exercise and these types of things. And then there's also the jet, which helps with stability of energy, moving up the center of our body. So Camus artwork is very potent itself. The artwork itself is very, very potent. The way that it is drawn is very, very potent.
You know what? I'm glad you're here and explaining this. I shared these images last time. Honestly, when I looked at this last time, I only saw the Ankh. Now, when the previous picture, when you were saying was, how you
Was,
say it?
was,
Was.
was.
Okay. So from a previous Seba, I know Ankwaz Dejed is how I learned it. Ankh Uja Seneb. So what I am seeing here, this is the Ankh, this is the Was. And is this the Dejed in here in the middle?
Yes, that's the jet.
The Jed. Okay.
Yeah.
Ankwaz Jed. Okay. So
No.
tomato, tomato, maybe. I don't know if it's
Yeah, Uja Seneb, that's another set of symbols. It has
yes.
yeah, that's another set.
I've
But
not seen it in the Metal Netra before. So I'm glad you're sharing this.
oh,
I'm
okay.
just used to saying it and knowing what it is. To see it in symbols is great. I appreciate it for real. Continue,
Yeah.
please. I'm listening.
The Jed, the Jed, the Jed is where the word Jedi comes from. And it shows that,
Wow.
yeah, the Jed is where the word Jedi comes from.
Okay, I can
It
see that
rep-
stability of energy in the Jedi. Okay.
yeah, in terms of using the force, you're
Mhm.
really channeling your chi and your kundalini up through the central pillar. That's the main channeling of kundalini. So the Jed represents the central pillar which our kundalini rises up through. It also represents the center of a galaxy or the entire universe. So the ancient Egyptians, they would keep track of where the center of the universe is. And we are currently lined up with the center of the universe. That this is what 2012 was about.
Mhm.
Every 25,920 years, when we've completed all the signs of the zodiac, this planet gets lined up with the center of the universe. And it's a time where a lot of spiritual outpouring will happen. It's a time where a lot more spiritual, religious realizations will happen. So we are in a time where we are supposed to be looking to religion, looking to spirituality. That's the time that we're in. And we're supposed to be taking advantage of the gifts that come out of that. You know, we live in an agnostic world. So if you run to the church, you're not going to get much. If you run to a mosque, you're not going to get much. If you run to a synagogue, you're not going to get much. That is caught up in not just agnosticism, but is also caught up in commercialism and the whole idea of, well, what is right and what's wrong. Like, people are stuck in the New Testament, but we have to get back to the Old Testament. What the New Testament and agnosticism and not contacting different deities and angels, because that's what it's all about. It's all about, you just need Jesus. When you have the Hare Krishna movement, is you just have to chant to Hare Krishna. When you have Islam, is you just need the Quran and Muhammad is the only prophet. And it's everything is so, watered down. That was for a reason. It was for a good reason. But we are in a different time now. Like that time is up. There's going to be great change. We're seeing a lot of upheaval with the weather and with different nations and stuff like that. We are seeing a lot of people being displaced. It could be in the Middle East and whatnot, flooding into Europe. And now we are seeing, a pandemic. Now is the time for you to grab a hold of this indigenous Gnostic cultural wisdom and take advantage of it. We are living at a time where, regardless of the difficulties, or because of the difficulties, we can evolve better. But we need the tools to help us with that. We need the knowledge and the understanding. We need to, read great books because it makes us more intelligent, and we need to engage more in the spiritual practices, specifically of things like yoga and meditation. And then last but not least, we need to do something that a lot of Africans do that are in the culture and was very big in ancient Kemetic, which is we need to wear the amulets that have the deity's spirit in them because they're going to really help us with our spirituality in a very, very intimate and powerful way. And that's one of the benefits of wearing the amulets. When I look at the depictions of the ancient Egyptians, specifically the Neteru, they're all wearing amulets. They're all decked out in amulets around their neck, around their wrists, around their feet, and it wasn't style. On the outside looking in, we look at the culture and we're like, wow, it's so beautiful, it's so stylish, but it wasn't style. It was beautiful because it should be, but it wasn't style. It was a practical application of knowledge. They knew what they were doing and they knew why they did it, and they were the example for us of doing it. So, you know, we have to, if possible, get to that point. And I've had a lot of very, very powerful experiences with using amulets, with using shrines as well, with having shrines and with having amulets. And one of the things that I I I I saw, because we have a cultural catharsis of apocalyptic immorality. We have a very, very unjust, unfair, and wild, you know, cultural paradigm that we live in. These things, these amulets and these shrines really, really help to mitigate against that. They really help to mitigate against that. I have very, very crazy stories. I have extremely crazy stories that I really, you know, you know, that you would have to get to know me better for me to share. But, it's as much as, to let me feel comfortable in knowing, you know, get your spiritual items, get your items, get them one by one, two by two, get them and learn how to use them and maintain them, you know. Mainly, consecrated shrines and amulets. And of course you should get your, you know, stuff for spiritual cleansings and stuff like that. Some people can, do it on their own. You know, they have their own power, their own ancestors. They can go and buy certain things, put it together, you know, give themselves a bath or whatnot. But if you don't, you can contact me. I I I make those things and I make them extremely potent.
Interesting. Interesting. I've been taking notes. I'm gonna follow up on them with you. I have your phone number. We have talked. For those of
Yes,
you who are
me
also
too.
interested, call Baba Nu, call the Siva. He will direct you accordingly. Trust me. I've talked with him in preparation for these videos. I've gotten to know him a little bit. I look forward to knowing him some more. Now, on this photo here, now we already addressed this symbol. I have some questions. Could you tell us about the head of this symbol and this part down here?
In which
It looks
one?
like it's clapping.
It looks like it's. You mean the crown of the deity Amun?
No, no. I call it WAS, the health symbol. Do I need to go back? Because it's in this picture. He's holding
You
it here.
mean he has a flail like a
No,
whip?
it's in the center. No, not that. Not the crook and the flail. This right here in
Um,
front of him that's coming down in front of you. Hold on, you on your cell
what
phone.
what is coming down? That's a wasp
Right.
that he has. He has a wasp with a jet.
Yeah, because you talked to us about the head of the wasp and the
Oh,
yeah, and the part where at the bottom where let me it's doing like this, like a clamp at the bottom, at the end.
it
Yeah.
yeah. It is two clamps. To be honest, I am not sure why it has that shape at the bottom, but
Mm-hmm.
I do know that the head, you know, it is a similar head to like a donkey. It is a
Right.
similar head to those type of animals because they are very, very strong. They can run around a lot. They are robust, you know, four-legged types of animals. You know, so there are animals that are similar. You know, it's like a gazelle or, you know, like a horse or those type of animals. I've I've never been told or I've never had anyone say exactly what type of animal that is. It could be an animal that went extinct with the ancient Egyptians that they did know, but you can tell that the animal, you know, looks strong. It's definitely a four-legged animal that runs on four legs, and those types of animals are very, very strong. So it represents that type of strength. You know, people have tried to say that the things on the bottom hooked in to a device and pulled it back. I'm really, really not sure about that. I honestly think it's just a nice way to end the piece as opposed to having just a straight, you know, just to having it straight bottom.
Okay. Question from the audience. Abdiel Ben Levy L of YouTube says, "Is the Ankh 360?"
Well, 360 is how many degrees are in a circle. So I'm not sure what's being
Yeah, I'm not
asked if
sure
it's
neither.
360.
Abdiel, could you elaborate on your question? Gratitude, appreciate you. So that same symbol is here in this picture as well.
Yeah,
He's
that's the west.
yes, right here. Let's see. So we have a few more images.
This image, I'm glad that you put this one up because I wanted to talk about why it's important to use spiritual soap and why it's important to use it on your head. This represents your angel guide. Just want to let people know in the past few days, I've been seeing mine like, several times. And it is something that I had prayed about for a reason, and I saw mine. It's very, very important that, you can see yours, but the reason why you want to wash your head and make your head nice is because that's where it rests. That's where it stays. It stays close to your head or on top of your head. This is your angel guide. It'll have a face looking just like yours and the body of a pigeon. It's a real spirit. It's a part of you. It is you on a high level, and if you don't keep that higher vibe going, it leaves you, and that's when you have mental problems. If it's not close to you and with you, that's when you have mental problems. And this is one of the worst things that can happen to a person is when their angel guide is not around them. Is that's a true definition of mental illness. So, if yours is around you, you don't have to worry about that. And if people are trying to accuse you of such a thing, you know, you just need to really, really ignore those people or really, really get away from those people, because when your angel guide is, with you and you could actually see it, it is a very, very powerful thing. But you need to, keep clean and present yourself nicely, and it stays around you. So this was called your ba in ancient Kemet, and it was a very, very critical piece and part of spirituality. Spirits. Spiritual practice. I know that in your Yoruba culture, people get a shrine built to it. So, sometimes it's that important. If you're really, really troubled, it's that important to have a shrine built for your angel guide to actually have a place, and you maintain that shrine, and you keep that shrine, and you have much better mental health. One of the things that I do is when I go and do my offerings, I would feed my head. And when you do that, like, this was in the beginning of me getting into the culture, and at that time when I would do it, I will feel such a centering and a purpose. So it has the imprint of your destiny, who you are supposed to be about, what you are supposed to be about. And when you get your head fed, that's what you will feel.
Okay, so when you were speaking about that, I was attempting to recall the name of the image, but I just brought it up where I'm used to seeing that represented at, and it would be in an image in the hieroglyphs like this, where I
Yeah,
think
this
the person is being examined, their life is being examined.
in the judgment hall of
Yes,
Teferi.
yes.
Yeah,
And so I've seen this several times. And in the audience, the question is your ba the same as your ori?
yes, it is your Ori. Your Ba
Mhm.
is your Ori. The Yoruba words and concept Ori is the ancient Egyptian Ba. So
Interesting.
when you look at the Yorubas and what they do with that, you get an idea of what the ancient Egyptians did as well in helping to maintain it.
Hmm. Okay. We had a few more images to share. Let's see. Few moments. We had a comment section. I'm not sure what is going on over there. Either way, all right, here we go. Let's see. We went this way. All right. This one.
Yeah, so this one represents, you have the beetle in the middle, but this still is a board of Ra. You have the two uchats on each side because of the importance of our senses. So this is talking about sensory experience, but the sensory experience is one of evolution, which is why the Kepler beetle is in there. Is riding on the back of Opep, which is fear. When you conquer your fear, now I was talking about fear that masks as procrastination. When you conquer that fear, you get propelled on your evolutionary journey. So this image means that facing your fears is critical for your evolution. You have Kappa, which represents evolution. You have the two Uchats, and the Uchats represent full sensory apparatus. When you break them down and you correlate them to the I Ching, because they have numbers on them, and the numbers represent different hexagrams in the I Ching. This is all you can get in the book. And when you read over those hexagrams, you see that those hexagrams are talking about different sensory experiences, the sense of time and space, the sense of distance, the sense of, smell and touching these types of things. Um, the sense of spatial reality. So you're talking about, having a full sensory experience. However, it being on top of OPEP, it represents the conquering of fear. And there are actually two OPEPs in here. There's the one that is on, and then there's an arrow striking OPEP itself. So, fear is being struck down, and as a result, your when you conquer your fears, you get a boost. It helps to propel you, but it can really help to propel you up the evolutionary ladder.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. Like Charbet, before your first appearance here, I had never seen this image before either. So, are all of these images in your book? Charbet would like to know.
Yes, these are all images from the book.
Okay. And would you like to speak on this one today?
No, not this one.
Okay.
Let's get into this one because there's a whole lot more to be said of this one.
Yes, it
You
looks
know,
involved.
yeah, there's a whole lot of garbage being spread out there. A lot of people are watching different topics, and there's a whole lot of garbage being out there. Like people are talking about how the moon is artificial, et cetera, et cetera, and just things about the moon, and it's just all a bunch of junk. Okay, you have Amun, you have Moot, you have Khonsu. Khonsu is the one standing to the far right with the crescent moon and the full moon as the crown. Khonsu is the deity of the moon, lives in the moon. This is a real a real deity. When I was a young child, I can recall I had a very clear dream, and this man came down out of the moon in a white spacesuit. Everything was white. And it was much later on in life, getting into Khmu culture, that I realized, oh, that was Khonsu. that was who had come to see me. And why I'm saying about all the junk information out there is that the the moon was birthed out of the earth, and the moon plays a critical role in regulating the tides and our emotions. Now, Amun uh created the ozone layer in collaboration with Earth's magnetic field. So his crown represents the magnetic field of the Earth that helps with the regulation of the atmosphere and stuff like that. Hold on 1 second, okay?
Okay, so we're gonna hold on for a few seconds while he makes adjustments. And speaking of images not seen before, here is another one I had not seen until Baba Nu's first appearance here. And again, if you missed the video, the link is in the description. Thank you guys. So Baba Nu, if you would share with us more about this image.
Right. This is a different depiction of the goddess Moot as a
Mm,
vulture. You
wow.
know, uh, if you look at the picture and how organized the picture is, and she's holding two feathers, which would represent the feathers of Ma'at. So it's about the double Ma'at. The double Ma'at, that should really be a class, because
Yes.
the double Ma'at is very important, because people are confused about what's wrong and what's right. So you
Right.
have the double Ma'at being, held by the, left foot and the right foot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you understand things, you know what the left foot represents and what the
Mm-hmm.
right foot represents. So for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us, our concept of Ma'at just stays on the right side, just the
Mm-hmm.
being nice. That's the being nice side. The
Right.
left side is the being harsh side. And this is also indicative of the crook and the flail. With the crook, you are gently, persuading people, but with the flail, there is some roughness there. Also, in the clause is the symbol of eternity. It's the Shen symbol of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things that Moot represents, and why she will be holding the double feather of Ma'at. Vultures, when they can't find food, they would peck themselves to feed their young.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in life, we we feed on life to have life, right? Everything goes through a cycle. All of the, atoms, your fruits and everything, these things are alive, but we are eating it to be alive. And, it's even why on the first show we talked about, veganism and plants, and the
Right.
plants are alive. You are, if you think that killing a chicken or a goat is wrong, well, killing a fruit or whatever should
Mm-hmm.
be wrong. So why Moot has the double feather of Ma'at is that moral conundrum that we have to get over, because we have to survive. Vultures look mean, you know, they look stern as creatures, but they represent that fact of life that this is what we have to do to survive. You know, the lion takes down a gazelle. That is to survive. Those are the things that we can't avoid. But when you look at now with the almond and the moot and what almond represent in terms of not just hydrogen, but the hydrogen fusion cycle, things go through that cycle and eventually they get up the evolutionary ladder. So it's an unavoidable aspect of life. It's something that we have to live with and not let it be a burden to us. Yes, we should show respect, you know, to the animals that we kill. We shouldn't, torture them and stuff like that with the food and fruits that we eat. We should is it would be really great if we could have a culture that made it easier for us to do those things, most of the time or all the time. But the fact is, that's life. You need you life feeds on life and life feeds on death. And that's how life survives. And that's one of the things that Moot represents as the vulture. Vultures feed on dead, decaying carcasses. They feed on what is breaking down. So that dead, decaying carcasses and what is breaking down, that does represent the cycle of life, the circle of life. Hello, Joy. Are you
I am
still
here.
there?
We are here. Share with us again, what does the left foot and the right foot represent?
Um, so there is being stern and being nice.
Okay, and stern
So
is which foot?
stern is the left foot.
Okay.
Stern is the left foot. I've had two situations in my life. Not going to get into detail stuff, but where I felt the energy going through my left foot. And once I feel the energy going through my left foot, I know what it's about. It is called time to stop playing around. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the kings in ancient Kemet would be depicted stepping out on their left foot. Not stepping out on their right, stepping out on their left foot. Is that is serious when it's time to be serious. You have to be serious about life. You have to be serious about conquering and overcoming what it is that you have to do, and that's what the left foot and the left hand represents.
Hmm. Okay. Gratitude.
Right is nice, left is
Hmm.
harsh. I said right is nice and left is harsh.
Yes, yes. Okay. Interesting. I was thinking about some things. Um, are we wanting to talk about this image?
Yes, we can speak
Okay.
about this image. This image, this is Ra in the book representing consciousness, and this is like a doorway to the starry night. So it's talking about going to sleep at night and having experiences in the astral plane and in the dream plane, because
Mm,
the ancient Camus cosmology at Anu with the deity rise, talking about consciousness. And consciousness is experience. This is another thing that caused a deep impact with the book, is that scientists say consciousness cannot be explained, blah, blah. And I just broke that down so simply, made them look so stupid, because consciousness is what you experience. You are conscious of what you taste, of what you touch, of what you smell, of what you see, of what you hear. So, um, being able to decode that I was able to look at some of this artwork and stuff and see, what it means and what it is talking about. Because if Ra is the creator of the universe, then what is he doing here? But Ra is extrapolated now for the Camus as consciousness, as experience. So we have experiences when we close our eyes at night and go to sleep. And some of our experiences are as real and vivid as when we are not asleep. So Ra being on the boat represents that journey of life that's part of our life journey. We we have a physical body, but we also have a spirit. And then there are cycles of time, day and night. So at night, which is when it usually happens, meaning when you go to sleep, because it could happen during the daytime. When you go to sleep is when you have that opportunity to have experiences of a different type, which is in the spirit world, in your spiritual body.
And how about this image? This image is interesting to me.
This image has layers of meaning
Mhm.
because it's the deity Khnum that's involved with the creation of man. Is not the deity Ptah being involved with the creation of man. So the deity Khnum uh, was also associated with the deity Happy, which is the Nile. So one of the things that this picture is stating is how the deity Khnum helped to shape the life of the Africans of the Nile, not the life of all humans, the life of the Africans of the Nile. And then it is showing how important for the Africans of the Nile the deity Heteru is.
Mm,
And this picture is about heterosexuality. The
mm,
word heterosexual comes from the word heteru. So
mm,
you would see that when Ptah is depicted as fashioning man, it's just one person.
mhm.
Here, Khnum is depicted as fashioning man, but it is two people, and then the deity Heteru is involved. So they're also showing how important relationship is in our life,
Yes.
male female relationship. So Khnum now is working in concert. So it's Khnum and Heteru working in concert to help shape the life of the people of the Nile Valley. And why I will reiterate the people of the Nile Valley, Khnum was also called Khnum Hap, meaning Khnum happy. Happy, they say, is the Nile, is the creator of the Nile. The Nile River played such a critical role in shaping the life of early Africans, them having a source of water that they can use for irrigation, for drinking. It was big enough that they could use for, fishing. So they had a great source of food. There was a reed that they used as paper. So the creation of the Nile played a role in shaping the life. So Khnum is depicted here shaping man, but is really in shaping man's life because man had already been shapen before. However, our lifestyle helps to shape the way that we look because Heteru does deal with the way that we do look. So it's also that the Nile River, that situation and, what the Nile River facilitated, that also helped to shape how we looked as a people, our physical features from the things that we ate and the activities that we were involved in because of the Nile Valley.
Okay. I would like to share some observations, and if you would add clarity and value to what I'm seeing. I am a student of CBOT constantly, and
Mhm.
sometimes people see me as a teacher, but I appreciate that. I accept that we all have our own levels, and this is my observation here. So for one, let me get this right. Hold on. Okay. So going to the image here, what I observe is, depending on how you look at it, the woman is in the front. Now I'm going to say she's in the front because if they both face forward, he is behind her. So I'm going to say the woman is first. Now in this image here, her arm is up, but both of his are down, and the hands meet here as her left
Yeah.
arm is up. And we just discussed the left foot, which is forward, and what
Which
it
is
represents.
is the serious side.
Yes. And
I
this
mean,
is some serious business right here.
it really means that women are to be more serious and the pushers of
Yes.
the relationship thing.
Okay.
And that relationship is more important. It registers more for women than it does for men,
Mm-hmm.
and that is their place, is to keep the seriousness of relationship.
Gratitude for sharing that. And so now her left hand being up and the connection with her left hand. Uh, does this represent anything here? This connection?
Yeah, the left hand being up, that's
Mm-hmm.
the serious hand.
Mm-hmm.
Her hand is up. Canoom's hand is up and active for the shaping of,
Okay.
both of them. But
Mm-hmm.
her hand is also up as well, which means that it's very important that women play a role in shaping a relationship. And what
Mm-hmm.
the shaping of the relationship is, it is in the innate associated idea of femininity, which
Mm-hmm.
is which is more subtle, which is less like, harsh. So even though she has the left hand up, is that you have to be serious about the femininity in the relationship because the man need that too. The man
Mm-hmm.
doesn't need to be, yelling, that's the manhood, like that, that's not the manhood. You know,
Right.
in the relationship, the energy and vibe in the relationship really has to be a feminine thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that's why her hand is up with Kanoom's hand, but the man's hand is down because men are already, yang. You don't need that, you know, in terms of pushing in the relationship. Let the woman do that. Let her lead and show that so that when you do it, it's also nice and sweet. Because it's about being nice and sweet to each other. And it's about having a nice and sweet life. Life is difficult, life is challenging, but in the relationship, which is the seed for, family, the way that male and female should relate to each other and
Mm-hmm.
function in the relationship is one of femininity and sweetness.
Hmm.
Meaning even men have to be quote
Okay.
unquote feminine and sweet
And
in
would you
relationship.
okay? And would you share with us why the contact over the man's head? Why the contact with the hand here over the man's head
Because the man need to
versus
cool it. The man need to cool his head.
I
You know,
accept it. accept that.
Yeah, the man need to cool his head.
So that's the
Can
cap
you?
on him.
Yeah,
Bring that
you
down.
know, when you are, because this is a potter's wheel still. When you're making a vase or whatnot of clay, you are smoothing in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're making it smooth. So the man needs to, smooth. He needs to be smoothened out from the top.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Interesting. Is there a reason why the ankh looks like it's aimed, pointed towards him and not positioned maybe in the middle of them both being addressed or in front of her for
Oh no,
some
I
reason?
think it's just distance and where Heteru is. I really don't think there's a reason why it is pointed at, closer to the man or the woman, especially since it's the woman that births, life. But
Mm-hmm.
if there is anything to say, is that um the man's the man's energy helps to give life to the relationship. The man has to give reassurance of relationship, of
Mm-hmm.
we are together. The man has to show signs of, I want you, I appreciate you, we are a couple, etc.
Yes, that's great. That is
And
great
that is the,
characteristic.
yeah, that's the life, because that's what makes it a relationship, but reaffirming it.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Hmm.
interesting.
Would you like to share anything else about this image?
Oh no,
Okay.
I think that we have done enough. I think that we've done a great show and given a whole lot of information.
Yes,
I would like to recap on if people need to contact me and how. Uh,
definitely.
my my Facebook page is Babanu, Babanu. My email address is egyptianvodoopriest@gmail.com. My cell phone number is 347-274-9647. So you can contact me for copies of the God Genes Decoded, and you can contact me for spiritual services in general. If you need spiritual help, if there are issues that you have that you want to get resolved and whatnot, you can contact me for readings and spiritual work.
Gratitude. I appreciate you being here, Siba Baba Nu, and everyone. Again, I am Joy Allen of Karmic Dynasty. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all on this evening. And I look forward to seeing you all again. I definitely look forward to the next time that we will be here with Baba Nu as well as Kepra Pata. And you are welcome. You are very much welcome. And I enjoy bringing this information to you all today. I am going to be speaking with Baba Nu after the broadcast to wrap up some loose ends so we can bring next week to you successfully as planned. And again, I am Joy Allen of Karmic Dynasty, Atum Ra, Perhotep.